I went into this little Cockney Geezer and I was like, oh, what's going on?
It's the Capital Evening Show with Jimmy Hill. Nicholas Galitzine is here. Nicholas, mate, good to see you. Thanks for joining me on the show tonight.
Thanks for having me, mate.
You have got a brand new movie out called The Idea of You. I watched it last night. I got a sort of sneak preview.
Love it.
Because I'm special.
You are special, yes.
And I really liked it. It's so good.
Thank you.
It's a really interesting concept, but it's executed so well.
I think so too. I think it's, you know, definitely within the space of rom-com that people have seemingly been yearning for recently and have been really successful. But I think it has a definite sort of original take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're playing a pop star in a band,
yeah.
and you end up dating Anne Hathaway's character. She's older, she's a mum, she's from a very different world to you, and you go on this exciting whirlwind romance together. Yeah. Which I think is everyone's dream, really. It's sort of everyone's fantasy to be swept off their feet by a boy band member or a pop star. Or is that just me?
Well, I mean, I had the wonderful situation of being swept off my feet by Anne Hathaway. Which
you did.
Which is, you know, a lot of people's dreams as well.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely plays into that. But you know, while the stakes are kind of quite high, there's also a real kind of grounded chemistry, I think, between the two of them, and a really grounded love story that I think is what people are really resonating to at the moment.
Yeah. It's a love story.
Yeah.
It is a love story.
Yeah.
You're playing this massive pop star. He's called Hayes Campbell.
Yeah.
And he's getting followed by the paparazzi. There are crazed fans after him all day. Was that quite fun, Nicholas, living that life for a short period of time while filming the movie, being a pop star for a few weeks? Did you like that?
I mean, you know, it's obviously not exactly like the real thing. I would say maybe more accurate than like is I found it very fascinating. And I think musicians have to deal with a different level of fame oftentimes. You know, they can sometimes blow up in a really huge way, and people have a different kind of love for musicians, I think, because as actors we're always playing a part, so you can kind of separate the two. You know, you're on stage from your private life, whereas musicians, you know, they are themselves a lot of the time. And so I feel like you know, in Hayes' case, that's a very, very difficult thing, is people seem to think they know him, but really he's a very different person behind closed doors. So I will say that the performing aspect of it I found really, really fun, if not slightly terrifying.
You were so good, though.
Oh, thank you, man.
Because there is a lot of singing and there's a lot of performance. Yeah. One of the opening scenes is at Coachella. Yeah. How did you film that? Was that really at Coachella? I was trying to work out how you did it.
That was filmed at 3 a.m. in winter in Atlanta. And we had about 500 extras who we kind of, you know, placed throughout at different points of the concert, but who were amazing, by the way. And even performing in front of 500 people is very anxiety-inducing. I mean,
really?
It's you come out and you know, for the boys in the band, they're kind of more familiar with that world because they're all professional dancers and they've been on tour with various artists. And so, you know, for me, I mean, I've done theatre, but not a lot of it. So still, that was performing in front of a live, you know, crowd was you know, at first really terrifying, but then once I went out there a few times, you just don't want it to stop.
You got into it, I can tell. You loved it.
Yeah. Look, I mean, the boys make me look very much better than what I actually am. But you know, getting to do the music for the film as well, going off to Sweden, we had this amazing songwriter Savan Katecha.
The songs are brilliant.
Yeah, he's kind of Savan's the godfather of pop in some ways. You know, it's very funny that this small country Sweden is, you know, with Max Martin as well, has really become the epicenter of pop music. And you know, even a friend of mine, Camila Cabello, she goes out and writes with Savan all the time. And so I had like
something about the Swedes. It must be in their genes. They're so musically talented.
I mean, you know, with the sort of the genesis of pop music with ABBA,
of course,
you know, I mean, it runs in their blood.
Maybe that's where it comes from. It's ABBA. It's all trickled down from ABBA.
Yeah.
Yes. But the songs are brilliant. I mean, I didn't expect the music to feature so heavily because it is primarily a love story.
Yeah, exactly.
But you hear like a good chunk of these songs and they're really good.
I think, look, they all tell a really interesting story because, I mean, one of my favorites, which is featured so briefly, but it's the song called I Got You, which is, if you could imagine every corny boy band pop song amalgamated into one, it's that. And so, we're telling the story that maybe this is a band who doesn't write all their own music and they've forced to perform certain things. And then you have things that feel kind of like hits that I think actually will get a lot of radio play, I hope, when the film comes out. And then you have, who Hayes wants to be later on in life as a solo artist as well.
Yeah, that was quite nice.
More
mature sound.
Mature, more folksy almost, which is kind of which is interesting. It's a director.
That had a bit of a James Arthur vibe, that song, I thought.
It's interesting. I mean, he's so brilliant, actually. So that's a compliment. But yeah, our director Michael Showalter really wanted to create a sense of change and maturity in him, because we see Hayes 5 years later on after the movie. I won't give any spoilers away.
No spoilers. It's quite the journey, though.
Yeah.
Your character Hayes is English.
Yeah.
As are you, Nicholas, in real life.
Yes.
And your character Hayes lives in LA.
Yeah.
And I hear you also live in LA. You've also made the move. This is life imitating art, or whatever the phrase is.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you really miss about the UK, Nicholas, now you don't live here?
Well, it's so funny because, especially with the press schedule I've had recently, I mean, I spent so much time in England anyway, and you're 2 weeks in one place, you're 2 weeks in another place, and my next couple of projects will be filming here in the UK as well. So, I don't really have enough time to miss things, but look, I mean, LA, people don't walk around that much, which I'm a big walker. I like to walk around the city, so I'd say that's something I miss when I'm not here.
You can't just walk down the shops, can you, in LA? Well, it's not really a thing.
My area, I can kind of do it a bit more, but I remember the first time I went out to LA, I was staying in Malibu at a friend's house, and I walked down. English people won't get this reference at all, but I thought I was going on a lovely walk, and I ended up walking down the Pacific Coast Highway, which is literally, it's the motorway.
It's the motorway.
Yeah,
it's
and
walking down the
people
M6.
were kind of staring at me as they were speeding at, 70 miles an hour past me. And so I realized, that's a bit of a weird thing to do. So I don't do that so much anymore.
I did see, I think it was on your Instagram, I saw a video, you were on the tube and you were looking at all the posters of you on the escalator. That must be quite a confronting thing.
Well, that one was funny because that seemed very planned, but I was just jumping on the tube one day to go somewhere, and I just ran into myself, which gave me a bit of a jump scare.
That's weird.
Which now I mean, that happens. I mean, the Mary and George posters have really been around everywhere, and I can imagine the same thing will happen with Idea of You in the lead up. So it's a little surreal for sure.
That must be so weird.
Yeah.
It's so cool though.
Yeah, I mean, you must get jump scares. I mean, on social media and stuff now. Like, do you ever pop up on your own feed or?
Yeah, do you know what? Sometimes on TikTok, if I've done, it's always about the person I'm interviewing, but sometimes one of my interviews will come up, and that's quite weird. That is weird.
Well, I mean, do you have any weirdness about hearing your own voice back? Because I know, I mean, obviously a lot of radio, that's a thing. I mean, I hate hearing my own. Isolated away from my face as well is particularly weird.
I love it. I love it.
That's good. That's definitely good then.
I love it. I do. Hey, I had Anne Hathaway on the show actually a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, she was chatting about that movie she's in, Mother's Instinct. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't yet,
it's
but
brilliant.
I'm so excited. I mean, she only does impeccable work.
It's a tough watch. It's very emotive, serious movie.
Yeah.
But she was saying that she liked to stay in character in between takes, so she made everyone on set call her by her character name.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Was she like that when you were filming this?
No, she wasn't like that at all. But I think different projects require different skills in a way. I mean, I did a project where the director wanted me to stay in the American accent the entire time I was shooting, and I got to know people as an American in a lot of ways. And so then when I rapped and I went back into my normal voice, well, actually, what I will say is, one night I fell asleep on the couch. I was exhausted, and I got woken up by the director, startled, and I hadn't done my own voice in so long that I went into an accent that wasn't even my own. I went into this little Cockney Geezer. I was like, oh, what's going on? I was like, well, that's not even how I sound. It had rewired me in a really bizarre way.
God.
No, but Annie was. I mean, she was very much herself in between takes. But I mean, hearing about the project as well and how sort of intense it is, as you said, it's a hard watch. I mean, sometimes that's what it takes, you know, to really get into the role.
Well, mate, you are so good together in this. The Idea of You. That is out now. Nicholas Galitzine, thank you so much for being on the show with me tonight. An absolute pleasure to meet you. Come back anytime, mate. You're welcome.
Have me back, mate. It was lovely. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.